to the page, and let's see if that works.
Oh, that's good.
If it works, that would be awesome. But if it doesn't work, it's cool.
Yeah. He's streaming now.
Okay.
But it's obviously not going to good old LinkedIn. We don't have access.
Yeah, I don't think mine is working. Okay, let's see. I don't believe that it's streaming to the page, unfortunately.
Not to the page, but maybe. Do you have to reset it up to stream to your personal?
Yeah. Actually, it looks like we're live on the page. It looks like they gave us the credentials.
No way.
That's awesome. Yeah, they did. Go ahead and check.
Nuh-uh.
So
that should be cool. Oh, we are. Wow, that's amazing. Cool.
So maybe have Nikhil.
Yeah, I'll link it to him right now.
Update. Cool. What's going on, everyone? Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is going to be week 5 of our LinkedIn Live Fireside chats. And we're going to stream to you guys from the chat mode page. So we finally got access. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff today. Interesting stuff in the VC space around conversational AI, who's getting investments. We're going to be talking about the Microsoft Business Application Summit and some of the news coming out around conversational AI, specifically Power Virtual Agents and the Power Apps and Power Automate ecosystem. Then we will certainly and 100% guaranteed jump into some cool demos today. I had promised some cool demos around Dynamics 365, and Tyler has made some really awesome stuff, put some stuff together for everyone. So it should be a really action-packed live stream today. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes about the top of the hour here before we get started. Let me see if this is in the event page. Hope so.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I can always post the broadcast link into the event page.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, post that. Got that in there. See if I could edit it and I put a broadcast link. There we
go. Oh, you're putting it in the event page?
Yeah, I think I was able to get a broadcast link up. Yep, cool. There's a little join here button. And it should take them to the post. Yep, cool. Perfect. We are good to go. Let's see. Interesting thing is I don't know how many people are currently. It says we're live, but I don't know how many people are here, so that is totally fine.
Yeah, I see one person here, so I don't know if
well, the notification maybe just turned 12.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, we're still sitting at 1. Now we're at 2. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Just want to welcome you guys for week 5 of LinkedIn Live Fireside Chats. We're going to be talking about all things conversational AI. Also going to be specifically talking about some cool stuff from the Microsoft Business Application Summit around conversational AI, chatbots, and Power Virtual Agents. We got some cool demos to show you guys on some of our sandbox Dynamics 365 environments. We will be jumping all into that within the next 5 minutes here, just waiting for some people to jump into the live stream here. Certainly, if you guys have questions, feedback, or topics you'd like us to discuss, make sure to put them in the live below. Looking forward to having you guys once again. Also, let us know if you guys are checking out the Microsoft Business Application Summit as well. Tyler and I here have been sitting on streams all day, checking them out. It's been a really sort of exciting summit to sort of watch some updates.
Yeah, they've definitely showed some pretty cool stuff. the Power Platform was pretty impressive. It was nice to see someone uh, as detailed as the first demo go and demonstrate how you can interweave all these systems together. So it was super cool. Seems like they got a lot of big plans for like Dynamics and Power BI as well. So uh, going to be continuing to watch that quite a bit um, as it goes on for the next, I think, day or two.
Yeah, I think it's I was actually looking at it. It looks like it's just for one day, surprisingly. I don't
Wow.
know why it wasn't multiple days, but that is really cramming in like what 100 sessions or more into one day. So that's you got to give it to them.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's impressive that they tried to get so many learning modules out there. Like it seemed like there was at least 50 to 60 events. Like if you just imagine that every single one of those persons is an employee that's running that, that's like 50 to 60 people. Like, and then you need like two people at least per event, you would think. Like, gosh, 100 people in one day at least. Like,
It's crazy. 100%. Okay, I'm gonna try and share this on my wall real quick. It lets me. I don't know that it will.
let's see.
I knew it. I totally knew that LinkedIn was going to give us access and not ever let us know that they gave us page access. No surprise there.
Yeah, it's super cool. I don't know if it sent out a notification, but it is very.
Yeah, I don't think they sent a notification out, unfortunately. That's not cool. You think I should just like stream on my own profile? Or do you think we should do
No,
this?
it's fine. We got a couple people. We got
All
like
right,
five. Uh,
cool.
Not
Cool.
every stream can be a big one.
Got it.
I'm sure there'll be more people that join in. We always get the video recording after, so it's always good.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for joining the stream today. We're going to be talking about conversational AI, things going on in the VC community, money coming into the space. We're also going to be talking about the Microsoft Business Application Summit and some of the announcements around Power Virtual Agents, conversational AI, and generally the entire Power ecosystem and what we sort of see from there. And before we actually get into that topic, we're actually going to make sure that we prioritize and show some rad demos. We were spinning up some Dynamics 365 sandbox instances over the past couple days to show you some really cool demos about what is possible with weaving all these technologies together. I want to thank you guys again for checking out the stream. We're going to be jumping into some cool stuff here in the next minute or so. So definitely, if you guys have questions, if you guys are checking out the Microsoft Business Application Summit, let us know in the comments, or if you have any other topics around conversational AI you're interested in hearing talked about today. Man, we got to have like some cool theme music or something.
Cool waiting music for the
Yeah,
intro. Yeah, it'd be
I
super
think that'd
cool.
be cool.
It'd be nice.
Man, I'm just sort of like kicking myself. I wonder what sessions we're missing right now. But in any case, I'm sure
Oh,
we
it's
could
fine.
check the replay.
Yeah, they're recording all of them. Definitely get back to it later.
Cool. Cool. Well, we will get kicked off here. Make sure to say hello in the chat if you guys are checking out the stream. As I had mentioned before, this is going to be week 5 for our LinkedIn Live Fireside chat, talking about all things conversational AI, coming direct to you guys from chat mode out here in the Pacific Northwest. Today, we're going to about really 3 things, unless you guys have some additional topics you want to talk about. Firstly, we're going to talk about some of the VC space. It looks like there's been some interesting investments in the news, in specifically a conversational AI company that was announced today. Secondly, we're going to briefly talk about the Microsoft Business Application Summit and some of the announcements that have come out thus far. And then we will spend the majority of the time showing you guys some really cool demos we've been setting up in our Dynamics 365 sandbox environments and what is some cool stuff you can do with chatbots. I mean, I think there were some really cool demos today, but I think we might have a couple that you guys will really enjoy. So without further ado, um, my name is Chad Oda, and my co-host here is Tyler Odenthal, head of engineering at ChatMode, and we will get into it.
Yeah, definitely. So you recently sent me an article uh, about Amelia, which those of you who don't know, Amelia is a conversational AI for customer support, and they recently raised 20 million in VC funding. Let's see, announced pretty much today, I think, a couple days ago. So that's really quite surprising. To my knowledge, a pretty big funding amount. 20 million into a conversational AI company at the moment is significant. So, what do you think dictated that level of investment?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think we've certainly seen this sort of ebb and flow of VC dollars in and out of the conversational AI space. I mean, I think we saw a lot of companies getting funded post 2016 and then following 2016, 2017. I think we're seeing a lot of chatbot companies and platforms getting investment. And then, I think we sort of saw the typical Gartner hype cycle where we sort of hit that decline of disillusionment, so to speak. But I think the interesting thing to note is I think enough time has passed, enough use cases have become mature, enough best practices have sort of like come about, and companies are aware of them. That I think we're beginning to see an emergence of best of breed companies. And I think Amelia, from what I understand, what they're saying, at least at this point, is that they have technology that gets it closer to more human like dialogue. Now, I haven't seen this myself, but what I can say to Tyler's point, $20 million is a very sizable investment, especially for a conversational AI company, which actually really begins to drive in on, there is maturity in this space now, or maturity is emerging. And it will definitely be interesting to sort of see what some of the announcements they come out with within the following weeks here.
Yeah, most definitely. I think they definitely cornered their market. Essentially, they solved what it seems to be European conversational customer support. They have 21 different languages built into this with like regional dialects and accents. I'd imagine that those data sets are quite large. And being able to develop one of the best models for specifically maybe a European customer support use case might be extremely lucrative. So I can definitely see them getting that type of investment specifically just for that, being able to support the European environment for an extended period of time just based on the amount of data that they've already acquired. So it's very interesting. Seems like there's definitely money being thrown around at that level for very specific use cases and very resourceful ones. So
Yeah,
it's exciting.
definitely. I think the European market is certainly one that is interesting to track at this point, especially for conversational AI deployments. We've talked to a lot of companies within the European markets, and to a certain extent, they are. I mean, I would say, embracing conversational AI maybe to a degree that we're not seeing as much in the United States. Although I don't think we're far behind. That being said, I think there are two components of Amelia that are really interesting. Number one, they are sort of enabling conversational components. So essentially, you could stand up some specific instances that are either, functional or vertical specific quite rapidly. And I think that's going to be a continuing trend, as we see adoption of conversational AI within the enterprise space continue to sort of mature. Second thing that I think is really interesting that I think is going to be a moving target for the industry itself, especially for voice-enabled devices, is going to be voice biometrics. So that is something they have integrated into their solution. So they're actually a omni-channel solution. You can deploy it on voice, you can deploy it over the phone, you can deploy it on multiple messaging channels. So they've actually integrated voice biometrics that actually enables them to to a certain degree, ensure that this person talking is the person that we have, recorded in our, CRM system or some sort of customer management system. And I think the real threat here is, and we're beginning to see it already, that there are deep fake, effectively deep fake voices. And the first reported case of a successful exploit was they actually bilked a CEO or a company out of $200,000 by impersonating the CEO for a wire transfer about 3 months ago. So voice biometrics certainly going to be something evolving and emerging on the radar, probably with this year, next year, and several years to come here.
Yeah, that use case didn't even like occur to me. I didn't even parse that out when I was reading uh, the evaluation. So that's very interesting. Um, I was more hyped about data, but it seems like security is also on their mind. So even more so to get that uh, number being pushed for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. So sort of switching gears here, but not switching gears totally for the people that have been checking out some of the updates coming out of the Microsoft Business Application Summit. So there's just been quite a bit of talk today about sort of really three themes, right? The first theme has sort of been around a data convergence, right? Being able to pull multiple data streams from your environment within 365 and pulling them into multiple different formats, whether that is analytics, whether that is leveraging that data to trigger automations. um, Really being able to converge those data sets has been one of the core themes. The second theme that we've seen today is really driven around connectors and integrations, and overall, really driving home this idea of power apps and power automation. And then finally, it seems like one of the major themes they've been talking about today is chatbots. They literally showed in one of the first tech demos in the keynote, they're showing Power Virtual Agents, the implementation that IKEA has rolled out for their end customers. And they've also mentioned the Coca-Cola implementation, which is a internal facing use case, line of business. Then they've really been evangelizing that for the last couple of days, it seems like here. So, actually, without further ado, I don't want to talk too much more about that, but we want to show some cool demos. So, Tyler is going to fire up the Dynamics 365 sandbox environments, and we will show you some cool things that you can do in them.
Yeah, definitely. I'll start sharing my screen and just go into uh, some of the features that make this all possible. So essentially, the SBA Summit, the Power Virtual Agent feature platform that enables this to go on is PVA, so Power Virtual Agents. We're utilizing a lot of connectors into the Dynamics 365 environment, and then we're connecting that back into Microsoft Teams as a visual conversational interface. This also can be connected to Cortana to have it be a voice-enabled interface as well. And then that can also sync into the Power Platform. Their CVP was really demonstrating the intense capabilities of the Power Platform by essentially using a bot, much like the Dynamics bot that I have in front of us, using a bot to intake data about support information. The demo I'm talking about is, I believe, it was GSS demo. And essentially, they would take support ticket data through a Power Virtual Agent that would integrate with their Dynamics support ticketing database, and that would get pulled into a Power BI data reporting system. So the platforms that Microsoft are developing are pretty vast, and the integrations are pretty uh, uh, unique, I would say, and very powerful. So I'm just going to dive into what we've built for Power Virtual Agents for integrating with Dynamics. So I'm just going to access the bot by saying hello. It's going to respond to me by saying, hello, I'm chat in mode Dynamics. It's primarily designed to access Dynamics reporting. So essentially, I gave it a command to access the Dynamics account reports, and it suggests me actions to access this accounts database. So currently, I'm just going to take the suggested action inside of my Dynamics 365 accounts database, and I'm going to say I want all the accounts that are higher than revenue of $75,000. So I'm going to do that, and it's going to ask me who do I want to send the report to. It's going to send it to myself, and what that's going to do is it's going to set up a automation process and send it to my Flowbot. Well, something's wrong. Let's try that again. Access account report. Try this again. Revenue greater than 70. Chat. Still not gonna work. Oh, no, it is. I spoke too soon. So what that's going to do is it's going to send my Dynamics 365 reports to Flowbot. And this was a RPA task that was generating adaptive cards and sent it to Flow. So I told my Dynamics bot to go out into my Dynamics 365 ecosystem and pull back some reports. And then I said, hey, Flowbot, can you display those reports in an adaptive card? And it generated, it returned all the adaptive card reports that I've currently constructed back in this Flowbot system. And then down here, it's now asking, it's waiting for a reply. So I can say report seen, and it's going to send back that to my Power BI bot. So what's going on here is bidirectional bot-to-bot communication, which is pretty complex, but essentially you can have in this Microsoft ecosystem bots communicating with bots and doing RPA type tasks. So scheduling meetings can be done via bot-to-bot communication, generating adaptive cards, even broadcasting messages in your team's ecosystem is a huge value add that you can do with bot-to-bot communication. So how it works is I'm going to use the Dynamics chat mode bot to use Flowbot as a broadcasting system. So I'm going to send that same report of revenue greater than 75,000 to Chad. So what's going to go on now is Chad on his end of the screen is going to receive my reports. And when he clicks a button based on the reports that he sees, I'm going to now get that response. And now I can see right here that I've successfully sent the revenue reports to Chad, and they've seen my reports. So that's one of the huge features that you can use and give by using the Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents ecosystem, and then integrating that ecosystem with Dynamics 365. You can now broadcast Dynamics 365 reports. You can also schedule meetings. So do you want to schedule a meeting? Yeah, I do want to schedule. So what's the subject of it? Let's say testing Power Automate. And it's going to ask for an email. Cool. I'm the organizer of the of this meeting. So what it's going to do is it should send me a card, 2 cards actually, saying that I'm supposed to be organizing this meeting. And it's going to ask for some input now. And it's going to ask me who I want to invite. I can invite Chad. .io. I can submit that meeting request. So let's see if that meeting request got entered into our upcoming calendar. So get upcoming meetings. Cool. So I want to order it by grade by date and time. I'm going to send it to myself. I can also send it to Chad. So I could send a calendar, all of my calendars for today to Chad, but I'm currently sending them to myself. So what's currently in my calendar for today is I have chat mode, Fireside chat. I've sent a couple of test meetings, and this is the most recent meeting that I have currently scheduled, testing Power Automate. So just for fun, I'm going to now send my meetings for today, Chad. Just going to send those. I currently don't have a receipt system set up at the moment, but he can easily get my calendar for the day. So if you have a company calendar, or if you have like a specific Dynamics calendar or like a CRM calendar, you can essentially not only organize it by date, you can organize it by subject, you can organize it by which one should be filled, or which ones you're attending for the day. So I just sent essentially a company calendar to Chad, and then I organized it by the most recent. So that can also be an exceptionally resourceful thing to be doing in the Power ecosystem. Essentially, using Power Virtual Agents to schedule a meeting via a Power Automate command, and then sending adaptive cards back and forth to the recipients and the organizers to let them know automatically when calendars are scheduled. So those are pretty much the main features that are currently inside the Dynamics 365 chat mode bot. Essentially, you got bidirectional communication between the Flow bot and the chat mode Dynamics bot. And then you have accessing Dynamics 365 accounts reports, and then you get that generated as an adaptive card. You can schedule a meeting, and then you have adaptive cards being generated to the recipient and the organizer. And then you can get and send calendars to and from team members inside of Microsoft Teams. So yeah, I'm happy that I got to show you today some of the powers of the Power Virtual Agents ecosystem and Power Automate, and how you can connect that to Teams and give your employees and teams more power to do what they need to do and be more productive.
Cool. Thanks for that, Tyler. So let's actually unpack this a little bit here, because I think, on the front end, this looks simple to use, right?
Yeah.
But actually, there's quite a bit of integration going on, and to sort of enable everyone to sort of visualize this, right? So this specific use case here is sort of built on top of Dynamics 365 sales. And we've populated a sandbox instance with sample data that you would typically see really in any sales organization. Different accounts, opportunities, opportunities that are different stages of that sales pipeline. and all the typical sort of attributes you would see, different revenue, things of that nature. Oops, let me just pull back our video here.
Yeah,
Give me
just
1 second.
sorry about that. I just don't want
Oh,
to
all good.
static screen while we're talking. Might as well get our faces back up there.
Of course, of
Can always
course.
flip it. Okay.
Yeah, so
But yeah, I'm definitely happy to start to unpack some of these features that we just showed off.
yeah, absolutely. So essentially, first and foremost, we have the Microsoft Dynamics 365 sandbox with a bunch of sales data inside of it, right? And if anyone's ever used Office 365 Dynamics to pull reports, you already know you're spending a lot of time in that tool, just trying to pull different reports, perhaps for your sales leadership, perhaps for marketing to evaluate, what sort of how the number of marketing qualified leads that have been passed, a variety of different use cases that sort of tend to exist using Dynamics 365 for sales. So essentially, what we've been able to do is we have been able to stitch together not only the reports that you would want to be able to pull using Power Automate, but we've essentially connected that to Power Virtual Agent. And then we are surfacing that experience in Microsoft Teams. So it is a very flexible solution where we can really enable the end user to pull a variety of different reports and display them actually quite elegantly using adaptive cards. And I think the cool thing to note here too, is sort of thinking about what the maturity model is for chatbots a little bit. So at its basic form, I think the cool thing that we've also figured out is how we can essentially push notifications, push broadcasts actually to end users. So actually, this is not really a feature that has been released yet per se by the Microsoft team. We've had the pleasure of talking to some of the good people on some of the variety of product teams, ranging from teams to about framework. And this is actually a feature that's on the roadmap, but we've sort of figured out a workaround where we can actually deploy this today. So just imagine how valuable this could be for executive level stakeholder to get into the office at 7:30 a.m., sit down and get a push notification in Microsoft Teams with the exact report that they're looking for already in their bot. And that's incredibly valuable. Now, let's sort of extend that a little bit. And let's say, for example, we want to be able to send that report or send a custom report to one of our other employees. So, the other thing we've been able to tie up in this demo here that Tyler was showcasing is effectively bot to bot communications, where we are messaging one bot on our end, and that bot is then communicating to another bot, which is the Flow bot that we just saw. And then it is actually pushing a customized report to that employee. So we have bot to bot communication, and then we also have receipts. So we actually know if our employee took a look or took action on that report. Now, it doesn't just have to be reports. We can really do very complex automations, from pulling reports to taking action or adding data or removing data in any environment within the Microsoft ecosystem. So, very, very powerful use cases here.
Yeah, definitely. Like every single one of those functions that you saw today expressed in the Dynamics 365 bot, um, all of those flows use multiple steps. Like it's not just one action, right? The nice thing about the Power Automate ecosystem is that it allows you to integrate pretty much anything of the Microsoft ecosystem inside of a flow architecture. So it's kind of like a waterfall design. Essentially, you have the high end of the stack starting first. So essentially, the PVA bot triggers most of these actions. And when the PVA bot triggers, let's say the calendar one, right? It sends an adaptive card to team. And then when that gets fulfilled, it comes back and then it notifies the calendar, which is step 3. And then you go way down the step chain and you finally get back to PVA where it sends back a receipt. But it might have done like 10 other things inside of that decision, that flow tree. So you can really start to build out these RPA automations to really facilitate functionality to your bots. I really start to envision like actual virtual assistants of the future when you start to combine it to such a connected ecosystem that can also do RPA like architecture. So it's very exciting that we uh, kind of stumbled upon this bot to bot communication while also being able to leverage RPA of this broadcasting system. Because doing the RPA inside of just the bot, super cool. But being able to broadcast that RPA and like just be like, oh, this employee is on my team's ecosystem now. I'm a dude who sends reports, so I just need to send this report to that guy who's new. Like he doesn't know how to access reports, but here you go. Here's your reports for the day. Like here you go. I've seen them. Like the level of complexity of uh, RPA bots that you can now build on the Microsoft environment, I think will allow productivity of employees to scale to a whole new levels. Just because once when you have one person that knows how to interact with the bot and do all this crazy complex stuff, that knowledge can be shared. And then now you have everyone interacting with the bot, doing crazy RPA tasks, sending RPA tasks to everyone. And then you have like reporting systems being generated in teams pretty much live. Support like ticket desks that also integrate with Power BI, so you can actually see how many support tickets and like reports from PVA is actually being generated like in a really nice dashboard. Um, yeah, I'm rambling a little bit, but it's very cool. Like the level of bot that we can build now is pretty complex.
Yeah, and I certainly think that you speak exactly to what was being demonstrated today at the Microsoft Business Application Summit.
Yep.
Essentially, was all those things. Essentially, it really is stitching together, on top of what Microsoft uh, has as core solutions, right? So if you think about their CRM solution and ERP solutions, and then effectively you have, the Power ecosystem that sits on top and really enables like this very, comprehensive degree of extensibility on top of those platforms, really enabling to do some really cool things, right? So if we think about Power Automate and Power Apps and Power BI and Power Virtual Assistant as being those sort of four enablers that sit on top of CRM and the ERP solutions of Dynamics 365. It's really sky's the limit as far as what sort of use cases you can sort of construct inside of those environments. So I think those are all really good examples of what the power can be stretched to. I know today there were pretty straightforward use cases primarily around knowledge management. I think that was one of the demos they had showcased today. The other one was sort of more simple scheduling. And I know we sort of showed a scheduling bot on here as well. But I mean, you can really begin to string together these automations to do some really cool things on the platform. And I think the other thing too is, not just being able to deploy on Microsoft Teams, but something else we'll end up showcasing on our next LinkedIn Live is the availability to build tabs and effectively build, applications into Microsoft Teams in addition to the bots that sit right next to them. So if you sort of imagine for a second, let's say that we have a sales CRM bot, right? Like the one we just showed, and we could pull a multitude of reports. We can push information to Dynamics. We can pull data out. And then perhaps in a tab on Microsoft Teams, we can actually have some analytics that we're pulling directly from Power BI around, per se, what is the quota for this month? First, what's the sales quota for this month? How many opportunities at what stage of pipeline do they exist in? And all those things can easily be converged into a Microsoft Teams bot in addition to the tabs. So I think there's some really cool things that I think we're going to start to see, today they can be done. And I think we're only going to be beginning to see like what the possibilities are. I think a really interesting use case was the IKEA use case that they had sort of showcased in the initial tech demo. I mean, it really sort of showed the power of stitching together, at the core offering Dynamics 365 and how they could, extend that to augmented reality, right? And they built that inside of Power Apps. And then they surfaced this, customer facing chatbot with Power Virtual Agents. And they were able to track and converge multiple streams of customer data into their Dynamics Insight platform. And then based upon that data, have these sort of event triggered experiences that were occurring using Power Automate. So I think just within that ecosystem, if you're an enterprise company, you probably already using this. I think they had said like 97% of Fortune 500 companies are using the Power ecosystem. But if you're a mid-market company, I think there is significant value as well. I think you already have bought into these ecosystems. Your license already supports some of the connectors that already exist. You won't be charged for some of the overhead. Some of them are premium. So I think there's a huge value add in this. What were some other takeaways that you sort of got watching the summit, Tyler? I know there was one specific demo that you were super jazzed about, and you and I were just pinging each other back and forth on Teams.
Yeah, definitely. It was the security demo. It was a reporting system that employees essentially could use to. It was leveraging Power Apps, and they developed a support ticketing ecosystem for like why accidents essentially happen. Essentially, inside of a Power App, you could issue a support type ticket and say why the accident happened. And that would then integrate with all of a ton of things in the Power ecosystem. Essentially, it would go to Power Automate. It would service data from a Power Apps entry. It would send that, I believe, to where you could also interact with the bot using Power Virtual Agent. I think that was another way to also put data. But when they got data, they would use Power Automate to send that data to other parts. Actually, that support ticket would be logged to the Dynamics 365 environment. That Dynamics 365 environment was feeding into Power BI, where they then were able to show off a very beautiful dashboard where you could essentially see the results of all this hard work that they put into developing the app. And because of the ability and to support all these tickets, support all these accident reports, they were able to see with great ease that most of the accidents were coming from slips and falls. Like just like bad shoes and or like it's slippery out on like construction environment. So they're like, okay, like maybe we need to issue people to have better shoes on construction sites so people don't like slip and fall. And like that was only possible because they were stitching together all these different data silos that were often separated. But now that they have Power Automate and the capability to integrate all these data silos, you can have insane data integration all visible onto a Power BI dashboard. So that was the demo that I really stitching all the tools together to make something that like the employees actually were happy about, is making active improvements and probably saving the company a lot of money, because they were actively analyzing why accidents were happening and trying to avoid them. So super cool use case. That one was like one of the first that was in one of the first learning modules. So I highly recommend going checking that out. I think it started at like around 12 minutes in. So like just buckle down for a ride for like 30 minutes and just watch that because it's pretty insane.
Yeah, shout outs to Charles Lamana. I think that was his tech demo.
It was
super
his.
rad.
It was pretty rad.
Yeah, it was so hopefully we'll see some other cool stuff. Hasn't really been like any major announcements today around PVA. Pretty much some of the same stuff, although they were sort of hinting at during the some of the live streams you get like sort of a discussion board live chat on the side. I was able to at least validate the fact that they are sort of thinking about or in the process of modifying their pricing model for Power Virtual Agent. I mean, right now it's pretty much pegged at $1,000 a month. I think for I believe it's for 2,000 sessions
Yeah.
for 1 month.
And the classification of sessions is like kind of fuzzy. So a lot of people are not too happy about it. We're not the only people that are kind of suspicious of the pricing model. It's a very active discussion on their Stack Overflow and on their GitHub. So they're definitely reconsidering where the PVA model should lie.
Yeah, I mean, I think rightly so as well, because I mean, you sort of think about Power Virtual Agents. So I guess I'll back up and I'll say this. Um, there's always been, especially in the bot space, tug of war, right? It's always, do we make things so finite in the sense to what actions and capabilities you can build with a GUI bot builder? And that's always been somewhat restrictive. Or you can sort of take the other approach, and which is almost entirely in the realm of code. And you can have this very expansive capability. And I think Power Virtual Agents, in conjunction with Power Automate, Power Apps, really provides the best of both worlds here. Now, the pricing model is something to be desired, especially if they're trying to, target not only enterprise companies but also mid-market. So, hoping to sort of see the evolution of that. But I certainly think it is a very compelling solution. I haven't seen one as compelling, to be honest, as far as like internal line of business at this point. I mean, there are several other vendors doing stuff in the space around line of business, from IPsoft to Oracle. Um, a lot of really good companies. Now, the one thing that I think the biggest differentiator here is the fact that Microsoft has pretty much all the connectors you would ever want. And also there's third-party connectors that are enabled out of the box as well. So I mean, I think that's really the major value add here. Um, the other thing that I was curious about as well, but I don't know if I got confirmation on it, is well, two things. Well, we got confirmation on one thing, which is you can essentially extend Power Virtual Agents with Bot Framework, right? It's essentially one and the same. It's built on the same framework. So that's great to know, right? Because if you want to have, a line of business stakeholder build a bot and deploy it and have integration to Dynamics, they can do that. If you want to be able to extend that to a more comprehensive solution in your IT support, your IT department, they can also do that because they can extend it either as a skill or triggering skills. So, I think it's an interesting model that I haven't seen elsewhere at this point. But yeah, it's been a pretty interesting day so far. Hopefully, you have some more cool sessions to watch. Um, if any of you guys have any other questions or ideas on the stream here, it seems like it's been a little quiet, save for our awesome team, Steve, Nikhil, Nyasha. Thank you so much for commenting and giving us your love here as we're doing this stream. First time doing it on our LinkedIn page, so it is a little bit trying to figure out how to actually like trigger it to go out to our audience, but yeah, I mean, like, any other thoughts, ideas, Tyler, in regards to just generally anything around conversational AI?
Yeah, you were mentioning. Sorry, I got distracted. I mean, I might as well talk about it. I got distracted by the United Nations looking for conversational AI support. Um, yeah, they're looking for someone to develop their UN chatbot. I find is very interesting. They're asking for bot framework, virtual assistant, and Lewis and Lewis Q&A. So that was just very interesting. Someone in the community actually messaged and was like, "Hey, maybe you can help them." So like, it's very interesting. So yeah, thank you, Rise. I cannot name, but thank you very much for tagging us in that. Definitely reach out to them. But yeah, no, even the United Nations is now considering using Lewis and Bot Framework to develop their bot. So that's pretty interesting. I can drop you that.
Yeah, I'll make sure to check it out. I think, yeah, someone had tagged me in that earlier today too.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting.
it's I think it just goes to show, like, if you can make a low code solution, directed at the enterprise space, um, you're going to get a lot of traction. I mean,
Yeah.
like, let's be honest here, right? It's like, for all of us that started in the messenger space and sort of saw, many chat feel, and those were the first bots that we ever built.
Mhm.
I think we all have fond memories of, I mean, I'm not a developer. Tyler's certainly a developer, but for me, being able to build something and deploy it on Messenger with pretty much no code, um, is accessible, right?
Yeah.
What you're building is accessibility. And what have I always said for literally the last 3 years? I said, if someone takes that same model of mini chat and chat fuel and turns it inside into the enterprise space, that's going to work great. And
Mhm.
that's, and effectively, that's what Microsoft has done.
Yeah, that's definitely what the Power Platform is and what they're envisioning it becoming. It was very subtle, but the corporate VP essentially during his demo, right before it, I think it was like at around 11 minutes and 40 seconds, uh, he said that the Power Platform is trying to be a closed ecosystem. Um, so why it's so strong and why I believe they're probably charging so much for it is because they're trying to make it a closed system. They want the Power Platform to be a thing that you have to essentially buy into. Um, the Power Virtual Agent is the essentially NLU and NLP that will integrate with Power Automate. They're probably going to make it a little bit more difficult to make connectors to have bots integrate with Power Automate outside via like an API. That's probably going to be a little bit more difficult just because of the nature of the Power Platform being so closed off. Um, so I I'm a little I would like them to lower the pricing model, make it extremely more accessible. But I understand what they're trying to do in the sense that they're trying to make it a closed ecosystem, like putting a flag and saying that this is our power ecosystem. If you buy into it, it's going to be this much, but it's amazing. And I don't see any other GUI type no code solution that has the amount of connections that they offer. Even if you look at something like ChatFuel, their types of connectors or ManyChat really they have in Gradomat, but even that competes with other types of connector companies. There are connector companies out there, but they don't really specialize in like facilitating this crazy ecosystem that's built under one company. It's more like meshing together different types of tools. So no one's really actually built an ecosystem of connectors that is held under one, which I find to be extremely impressive. Probably why they're charging a lot for it. Um, so the closest thing I could imagine, probably like the chat fuel or the ManyChat model, where they have a ton of these connectors, or if they have probably up to like 300 connectors, but they don't own any of those like solutions. They don't own the data platform. They don't own the Google spreadsheet. They don't own Excel documents. They just own the ability to connect APIs and webhooks, which obviously is worth a lot of money. But this is the first one, to my knowledge, that's like, yeah, we're gonna specialize in that, but not only specialize in that, we're gonna make a power platform that acts like that and then like takes it to the next level. So I'm bullish that they'll lower it. It sounds like they're gonna lower it, and if they do, I wow, I'll buy into it. Like I'll find companies that want to take it this, because it seems very strong with my limited testing of it, the limited demos that they have available at the moment. It seems like where they're going is gonna be very big. So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Well, on a different subject, certainly, I think there is quite a bit of a shakeup right now. It seems like, um, in the space, I think consolidation just within the general chatbot ecosystem. I think a lot of the platforms that very broad. Um, it seems like there is, struggle that is, just natural at this point. It's what always happens in any sort of emerging technology space. And I think we're beginning to see the verticalization of platforms become a commonplace. So there's a couple platforms that we were looking at yesterday, like Symphony, um, and there's another one called Glia that specifically focus on the financial services area. Um, and then there are other companies that are just focusing on healthcare. So I think this is, going to be a continuing trend. I think if you begin to think about it, not just from a business standpoint, but also from like a technical implementation standpoint, it also makes sense because if you think about like what these implementations are predicated on, just like all other AI, is data, conversational data to be specific. You have conversational data, you have two things, right? Number one, you have the NLU model, NLP model. Just overall, from a classification standpoint, it's going to be optimized to understand that sort of rhetoric, right? So you can stand up an implementation much faster. Secondly, the thing that I'm really interested in is you also will be able to compare different dialogue sequences for one specific task you're trying to accomplish. And if you can compile those and figure out what the optimal paths are and deploy that as like sort of like typical dialogues or the most optimal dialogues, that's also going to get you ahead of the pack. So I think it's makes sense. We're seeing some verticalization in the market. I think right now might be a shaking out period. Like there's certainly higher demand for messaging. There is higher demand for certain bot use cases and platforms. And, it will be interesting to sort of see what happens, post, 2020.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think with the buy-in of the 20 million that we saw starting this whole conversation of a customer support platform, essentially, I think that's a pretty good uh, use case of someone buying into a essentially. Like they're like, I'm gonna push 20 million into this vertical. I kind of want to own that. It seems like Microsoft is pushing into the line of business vertical, and they're going to be doing that with our platform and offering all these connectors where they just outweigh competition. I would love to see Facebook's offering. I think that they're going to be their vertical might be more. Uh, gosh, I would say with how much that they're investing in like AR, like augmented reality technology, I would say that their conversational angle might be augmented reality, but I can't be for certain. Like I could see them having like uh personas, like virtual personas, essentially, uh, more interaction with the AR space. I know that they recently uh opened up a Instagram account for Facebook augmented reality designers to show off their Facebook apps that like cool augmented reality stuff. So I could see their play being more like augmented reality, conversational AI type concept. Like I said, I don't know what Google's really doing. I'm pretty sure it's IoT. Um, I can't be certain. They also have the data infrastructure to do something like Microsoft's line of business play. I know that they released Google Meet, which is kind of like their solution, but I think they're kind of late to the game. Honestly, like there's Slack already. There's Zoom probably is going to try to be a business solution. To be honest, like Microsoft is definitely like with their Teams ecosystem, partnering that with the Power ecosystem. Like, why even try to bother with the business uh, vertical? I mean, goodness, they can try, but I wouldn't. So I'd love to see Google come out with like some crazy IoT vertical play, like conversational AI, like maybe their virtual assistant. Like it already can control lights and stuff, but like why not make it stronger, like in some way? I don't know what that is, but it'd be super cool. Like maybe they do a partnership with cars or something and make cars new IoT. Like I know Apple's trying to do that with like their auto department. Uh, there was a little bit of news about their auto department and IoT, like the revolution. Apple's trying to get into also conversational IoT. So yeah, no, there's definitely verticalization happening, and I do also know of just like a specific chatbot analytics dashboard company that got bought. So like even on the analytics side, there's a lot of verticalization. So
Oh, they got acquired?
yeah, like some like there was literally a report like of this Swedish like chatbot analytics dashboard company that got acquired for like it wasn't huge, but I think it was like 5 or 10 million, and it was just like they just built sick like like chat dashboards, and they were just like boom,
Huh.
like someone's like some premier company was just like fuck yeah, we want that, pulling that. Uh,
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, there's not very many in the space. I mean, you could probably count them on your hand. I mean, that's how
Yeah,
many there are. So yeah, that is super interesting. On another note, keeping things informal as we typically do on our LinkedIn Live Fireside chat, it's a little quiet. It is a little quiet today. I'm
a little
missing some of
bit.
those different perspectives, but thank you, Stephen, for sharing a multitude of ideas as usual. You are our biggest cheerleader, my friend. Um, yeah, compliance, good use case, customer demand for support. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other capability, the Dynamics customer support capability. I think that's also something to certainly begin to explore, and may give some of the other more incumbent customer support platforms a run for their money. Yet to be seen, but be interesting. But as I was saying, switching topics a little bit, who will own the conversational AI space for entertainment brands, for media?
Yeah.
That is an interesting one. But more than that, if you start dividing up all the media, you have traditional media, you have digital media, so your YouTube, but also you have vertical. I don't even know if you call it verticalized. Probably just like different genres. Like so, like one of them could be like sports, and another one could be like television or something like that. I mean, I think the closest thing we have today to something like that is literally the Comcast remote, where you could sort of speak into it and say, play CNN or Fox News or MSNBC. But other than that, like we don't really have a lot of functionality. So I'm sort of curious to see like who does something in that space.
Yeah, I mean, Google has a good opportunity to make some type of entertainment play. I would say Netflix, well, they don't have a lot of search. They do have some space, so they might have like, and they have a ton of data. Um, I don't know. Amazon has a huge play like in the entertainment space that they could do. They have Amazon Prime. They also have their like shows that they produce. They have Twitch, which is a streaming platform that they could integrate. I could see if they build a chatbot ecosystem leveraging Lex that they already built and do the connector type concept with uh, that Lex ecosystem. So essentially, like being able to connect your Twitch ecosystem to your Amazon Prime ecosystem, your sales ecosystem, right? And you can have a bot that says, like, I want to support this Twitch streamer when I buy things on, like, you could definitely tie your purchase history to someone on the Twitch ecosystem. That's just like a very basic use case. And I know that those connectors probably are possible to do, but it'd be very complex without them stepping in. But if they did, I could see them like owning the entertainment ecosystem to some degree, because then you'd have a really intelligent bot that could access all these entertainment um, connectors. So you could have it pull up shows, you can have it pull up data that no one else has. Like essentially, Amazon's the only one that has that data. So like, why not make that data accessible inside of your ecosystem? Be like, I want to know how many people are actually watching the show, and just be like, boom, here's its actual trend rating. Like here's its actual like just having that like inside of a bot accessible like at snap or of a type of a button or even at base would be insane. So yeah, I don't know who's gonna own the entertainment chatbot conversational AI space, but like Amazon is really actually positioned good to do it. YouTube could also do it. Netflix maybe. Google definitely has YouTube, so obviously YouTube is Google. So my bet's on Google or Amazon.
Dude, okay. Like I see that. I see that, but what about Disney? Disney could totally I mean, like think
You're
about it.
right. They already
They
have
have
some people.
well, okay, but I agree with you. Like these guys already have hardware devices, right? But I feel like Disney could totally like extend any character in any show or any movie and have a literal conversational experience and
Yeah,
extend that, and add that and integrate that into the actual just regular information you would want to know about a series or something like that. So um
I
I feel
mean,
like
that'd be crazy because they're already doing that on App Store, right? Like they already successfully deploy Disney character apps on the App Store. So like they could definitely do that. They can make personas and stuff. Disney definitely has a
yeah, it'll be super interesting. But on that note, it is the top of the hour. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in for our first time doing the LinkedIn Live Fireside chat mode Fireside chat, and doing it on our LinkedIn page. First time doing that. Interesting experience. We're going to try it out again. We will see you next week. And if you have any questions, concerns also, ideas, topics, send them our way. We'd love to talk about them. And we will see you guys in the next one.
bye.
Stopping stream. I don't know why it never stops the stream. Like,